where ideas take shape, thoughts find them, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. She's a creator and connector who fosters hope and healing through art, music, storytelling, and community. None other than Miss Tamara Fyke.
Thank you, Daniel. Good to be with you.
Welcome, Miss Tamara on Abstract Essaying. Can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Yes, I'm a creative entrepreneur based in Nashville, Tennessee. And I, as you said, use the art that I do to help foster hope and healing in all populations.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Tamara. Thank you. And today, let's talk about why are our kids more anxious nowadays. So tell us, let's start with the obvious. All kids experience some anxiety, but based on your work, what are the core characteristic of contemporary anxiety that feel distinct in intensity or pervasiveness or manifestation from generation ago?
Sure. I would love to dig into this with you, Daniel. But before I do, let me just give a little bit of context so that people can understand why this is important to me. Based on the work that I've done over the last several decades, I've worked primarily with kids ages 5 to 18 in a variety of settings, whether that's in home, in schools, in community settings, and all different populations, whether those are kids who live in the city, kids in urban areas, rural areas, suburban areas. So I've worked with these kids in all different types of ways and have used the arts in order to help them connect with what's going on in their heads and in their hearts so that they can make good choices with what they do and say. So that just gives a little bit of background. I do have my master's in education from Vanderbilt. And so, in addition to the hands on work that I've done with kiddos, I have a lot of experience both with research as well as in academia with this topic. And the focus of some of my work right now is called Love in a Big World. And we're looking at how do we decrease anxiety and depression in kids and increase resilience. And one of the things that we know, as you mentioned, we have rather high rates of anxiety and depression. 4 out of 10 kids today feel anxious or depressed. And you're wondering why. There's a lot of different factors. We live in a very different world than the one I grew up in. And one of the things that I was even looking at today is that kids don't always get the chance to be kids. They're forced to grow up so quickly because of the rigors of their academics at school, with some of the things that we've put into place for them. They're feeling that academic pressure. And also, they're overscheduled with after school activities, and they just don't get enough time to play. Play is one of the best things that we can let kids do. It's a wonderful tool for them to explore their world and also to let go of a lot of stress.
Very well said, Miss Tamara. So, how much of the reported rise is due to a better identification and diagnosis, and how much represent a genuine increase in the underlying psychological experience of children and teens?
I think it's a both and, Daniel. I don't think we can just say it's because it's being identified more. I also don't think we can say it's just all societal factors. I think we do have greater awareness, and thank goodness people are talking more about mental health and well being than ever before. We've destigmatized it in so many ways, especially with the influencers who are talking about their mental well being on platforms like TikTok and Instagram. However, that doesn't mean that the problem isn't real, right? And it doesn't let adults off the hook either. It means that we have to step in because even though kids might be, especially teenagers who have access to social, they might be hearing some good advice. It may not be evidence based or research based advice. And so we, as the adults in the kids' lives, need to step in and make sure that they're hearing information that will actually help promote their well being.
Interesting, Mr. Mara, indeed. So, if you had to point to one overaching environmental shift, technological, social, or structural, that has most fundamentally altered the anxiety landscape of childhood, what would it be and why?
That's a good question. I don't think it's just one factor. As I mentioned before, I think some of it is the increased academic pressure that kids feel because of standardized testing. Another is the overscheduling because of extracurricular activities and parents feeling like they've got to make the most of every moment and not giving enough downtime to kids at home. And then you look at the pressures that are happening in the world around us. There's just so much. And we might think that kids don't know what's happening on the news, but they pick up on it and they pick up on parental anxiety as well. So I think one of the things that has happened for us societally is that there's an increase of stress overall for all populations. And the kids are aware of that and they internalize that in so many ways.
Yes, Tamara, let's talk about the digital ecosystem and the social mirror. We blame smartphones, but that's broad. Let's get specific. Is the anxiety driver more about loss of unobserved time, the tyranny of curated perfection, or the 24/7 social performance, or something else inherent?
Again, I don't think it's just one thing, Daniel. I think we can say that the influence of social media has definitely increased the negative impact on kids' mental health. I mean, I hear all the time from parents and educators how kids are obsessed with Snapchat, Instagram, and they're also comparing themselves so much to those that they see online. And that doesn't help. I know even for me as an adult, the pressure that I can feel sometimes by scrolling incessantly can be a negative. And so sometimes what we need to do is just put that phone down. One of the things too that can be very hurtful for kids, especially, and I'm talking particularly about like 12 to 17, 12 to 18 year olds who have constant access to their phones, is so many of them sleep with their device next to them and their sleep is interrupted each time they get a notification. So, even something as simple as let's put our phones in the kitchen far away from us so that we can get a good night's sleep. I think cultivating healthy habits like that would go a long way in promoting kids' mental health and well being.
Very well said, Mr. Mara. So, the architecture of a modern childhood, from overscheduled lives to academic pressure, modern childhood is often highly optimized and adult directed. How does this loss of unstructured free play, where kids negotiate risk and conflict on their own, impact and development of resilience?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that question. Play is a microcosm of the world. Play gives kids an opportunity to process what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what they've experienced in their day to day life. And they need that unstructured time so they can process in a healthy way. When we take that away from them, then all that emotion gets bottled up. I mean, if you think about it, back to your childhood, my childhood for certain, one of the games that we played most was house. And what did we play when we were playing house? We were mimicking what we saw happening in the home with our moms and our dads. We were talking through decision making, sometimes even arguments, but we were learning healthy ways to communicate and navigate relationships. Kids need time to do that. They need time at home, and they need time when the screens are off and they can just be. Now, I will say that because of the pressures to go, 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 sometimes, at least at first, and I've seen this with kids that I've worked with over and over again, when they have that unstructured time, the first reaction might be, I'm bored. Well, boredom isn't a bad thing. Boredom can actually help us spark our creativity. And so giving kids some time to sit in that uncomfortableness of quote boredom, it can actually be a gift.
So, Miss Tamara, how has the well-intentioned trend of safetyism potentially deprive kids of the low-stakes challenge necessary to build confidence in their own coping abilities?
That's a good question too. Yes, I think that, and I've seen
Hmm.
it with my own children. I'm a mom of three. They're now young adults. Uh, and then again, with all the kids that I work with, kids need to be challenged. And also, as Brene Brown talks about in her book, The Gift of Imperfection, kids need the opportunity to fail. They need the opportunity to fail with the safety net of us as caring adults so that we can encourage them to get back up and try again. So if we're constantly rewarding them for just even being on a sports team without giving them the challenge of having to progress in their skills, then we're not really helping them in the long run. I'm not a big fan of give everybody a medal just because they were on the team. You got to earn that, you know? And because the real world, that's what it's like. And so if we're just telling kids, oh, good job, good job, good job, and they didn't really do anything, we're not preparing them well for the outside world.
Very well said. Miss Tamara, you need an applause for that. Truly, truly empowering. What the role do parental anxieties about safety, achievement, and the future play in shaping a family's emotional climate? And how these anxieties transferred or absorbed by kids, even unconsciously?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that because that's exactly what happens, right? Kids may, an adult may not say directly, hey, I'm worried about this, but the kids can pick up on the vibe, for lack of a better term. They can feel it in their hearts, they can feel it in their spirit. So they know when mom is worried about finances, or they know when dad is upset because of something that happened at work. And they internalize that. And in a lot of ways, they begin to think that they did something wrong. And so it behooves us as parents to have the conversations that we need to have with kids in an age appropriate manner. So if a situation is tight financially, we might say, you know what, we're going to be watching our budget. And instead of buying that extra pizza this week, we're going to eat at home. We don't have to go into all the details of the financial stress, but we can let kids know, hey, this is something that we're paying attention to so that they don't think, oh, this is my fault or I did something wrong.
So, Ms. Tamara, let's talk about the psychological and neurological perspective. From a brain development standpoint, how might a constant low grade dopamine hits and a cortisol spikes of a digital life be shaping a young person's baseline stress regulation and reward systems?
Yes, such an interesting question, Daniel. We know that that constant dopamine hit, particularly from the rewards of even that notification that we receive on social media, is rewiring our brains. We know that attention spans have decreased over the last 10 to 30 years because of the restructuring of media itself, not just social media, but all media, the shorter form content. Um, it's something that we definitely have to pay attention to. when I'm in the classroom or when other educators I have conversations with talk about some of the challenges that they're facing in the classroom, they cite the fact that kids just aren't able to pay attention like they used to. And some of that is because of that constant reward. And so, we as adults, whether we're educators or teachers or coaches, we need to pay special attention to that and give the kids opportunities to explore their world without screens. We don't always have to be connected. And part of that is also modeling for our kids. We don't have to have a phone constantly in our hands or in our laps. We can go out and take a walk, maybe hike through the woods, or maybe go camping. I mean, there are ways for us to unplug and showing our kids, hey, this is possible. And actually, I'm enjoying this moment of wonder with you in the world without having a device that gives them permission to do that for themselves.
Definitely. So, Miss Tamara, many anxious kids are exquisitely turned into their parents' emotions. What is the difference between empathic atonement or atonement of emotional embarrassment was or anxiety producing, on how can parents navigate the line?
So I think what you're asking is kids are really tuned in to their parents,
Yes.
and
A
how do we
health
help them distinguish between what's going on with their moms and dads and or other family members and what's going on for themselves personally?
yes,
I
please.
would say yes. Again, it goes back to conversations. And this isn't rocket science, right? But sometimes we as families get so busy doing the things that we think are really important that we forget what is actually important. And that is sitting down at the dinner table, sharing a meal together, and actually talking about how was your day? What are you thinking about that? How did that make you feel when this happened? Oh, did you hear the news today? How did that impact you? Just following up, having those regular conversations, it means the world to our kids. And actually, it's something as simple as having a meal together on a regular basis is a huge preventative factor in helping set kids on the right path for their future.
Very well said, Miss Tamara. Very well said indeed. So, what are your short term and long term goals as a creator and connector?
Good question. So, one of the things that I'm working on that corresponds with this topic that we've been discussing today, Daniel, is the work of Love in a Big World. So, Love in a Big World is focused on creating a safe place for kids to ask big questions and providing support to parents and educators around how they can help kids develop the life skills in order for all of us to build stronger and healthier relationships and communities. So we provide curriculum that can be used in home, at school, in after school programs. We provide professional development trainings for teachers and family members to help them stay connected with the kids in their lives. And then one of the things that we're also really excited about that we're developing is a technology platform that is dual facing. Part of it is focused on the kiddos, and the other is for those caring adults in their lives in order to provide resources that they need on a 24/7 basis.
Good luck to your goals, Miss Tamara. Looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know, Daniel. I think one of the tools that I use on a daily basis that has really helped me navigate the ups and downs of parenthood and entrepreneurship is journaling. So I would encourage anyone and everyone to journal on a daily basis about what you're thinking and what you're feeling.
Yes, journaling indeed. People keep journaling, and who knows, it will be your memoir.
There
Publishes a
you
book.
go.
Yes, thank you, Miss Samara, for that advice. And if you could redesign one systemic structure like the school day, social media platform design, or community planning to inherently reduce anxiety, what would you change and why?
Hmm. These are some really fun questions, Daniel. I like
Thank you.
thinking this way. Um, I think one of the things that I would redesign is the way schools are structured within a community. I don't know what it's like for where you are in Vancouver, but here in Nashville, kids are driving or riding a bus all over the city in order to get to a school, which means that their support system that they meet at school are those are not often the people that they're interacting with at the grocery store or at the library or at their church. Or so I would redesign so that we go back to more of a community based approach where the school and other institutions are the pillars and the families are centered around that structure so that kids and families can have that regular interaction because we all need community.
Indeed, I totally agree with you, Miss Tamara. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season. Abstract poetry in third season, and of course, my book 101 review in sixth season as well. Comedy 101 third season, and food 101 in sixth season too. Geography 101 love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 our fifth season, Science 101, Sex 101 are in fourth season, and my baby podcast, Spiritual Awakening, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, Bible Verses 101. Please listen through them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Tamara, stepping back in our goal to create an anxiety free childhood or to equip children with skills to navigate an inherently uncertain world. How does the shift in a goal change our approach?
Yes, I think that if we would all be focused on that goal of decreasing anxiety and increasing resilience, we would spend a lot more time in meaningful conversations and fun play because those are keys, those are building blocks for relationships, and relationships are where it's at, Daniel. We need each other.
Indeed, no man is island, people. We need each other. So, Miss Samara, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your projects, or anything you want to promote on Abstract Essay?
Yes, thank you so much. You can find out more about my work at tamaracreates.com or follow on Instagram at Tamara Creates, Facebook at Tamara Creates, Threads, Tamara Creates, and I would love to connect with you and see how we could work together to build a strong and resilient future for our kids, families, and communities.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Tamara because if you support her for sure, more and more empowering advocacy like this to rise. And I have one more question, Miss Tamara. In a
Sure.
culture that often values achievement and external validation over intrinsic motivation and character, how does a child build stable internal sense of self that can weather inevitable setbacks?
So good. Yes, we can do that in many ways. One is having those key relationships, as we've mentioned before, whether that's with parents, grandparents, community members, coaches, teachers that we can trust and encourage conversation with in a meaningful way. Another is taking time for reflection, taking time to unplug from devices, no matter what size the screen is, and journaling. What are we thinking? What are we feeling? And that journaling can be words or it can be pictures. The other is art. How can we express what we're thinking and what we're feeling in a creative way that would also help bridge the gap between us and other people so that we can connect in a deeper way? Thank you so much, Daniel.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Tamara, and very well said. Monica people, see you soon.